So, what makes this rock so unusual? As you can see, it has a lot of unusual angles. Now, when you've heard of places like Pottstown, PA, you think of a forge. You have a tendency not to think about a forge being here 65 to 70 million years ago. Until you realize back then, to skin a dinosaur, you would need a very specially designed knife. If you question what the first rock was about, notice the same material. The people who did this are showing you this is the model material we made this prototype out of. Now, the way they explain it is you use it like this. Now, obviously, that's not a very strong edge, but they claim that they can cut through really thick skin. In here, this is a modern day skinning knife. This, I'm going to suggest, is a 65 to 70 million year old skinning knife hidden inside a rock. When you check it, see the broadside? Look at the angle. Let's look at the prototype. See the broadside? Look at the angle. Almost like these two were made to look alike. The property of this part of the rock versus this part is, if I can get that to stay up, okay, just fall over. Is that this part of the rock, when the rock is subjected to the heat of a furnace, this will burn off to leave, not like this, but an iron an iron knife in the middle. Now you can see it's got a base. If you put a magnet on it, like I say, you can follow the whole profile of the knife from the blade right down to the jagged hook. You can feel that right there. And what's amazing is how close it is to a modern day skinning knife. Now, when I first put this together, I was looking at this and this just by coincidence, total coincidence. And they were sitting just like that. And then I would say about 2 years later, maybe 3 years later, this guy came into play. Now, I found him one day digging, and he was completely covered with mud. But what I was looking for at that time was any piece of material with any unusual cuts and angles. If it had an unusual cut and angle, and it was raining that day, so everything was muddy. It didn't matter if it was muddy because I just wanted rocks that had oddball angles. And when I found that, I could not tell what it was. It was so covered with mud. And then as I was walking, visually I saw it in my head, and then I decided, hey, I should wash this off a little bit more. It looks like there's something else in here. I came up with that. Now, I figured out that it was the prototype for this guy. And it was something because I'd been looking for this guy for about, oh boy, I'd say 10 years before I found him. Um, and this guy was several years later, totally by accident. Completely different theme. Never thought I'd come across a prototype. When it comes to iron and stones, this is the one I refer to as the I can't think of the name of it now. The stone in China, Lanzhou stone, um, which has a round metal rod. Now we have a whole bunch with round metal rods. They're very usual. This is actually a blade, which is why I have it with here. This was a blade, and they were in there, and this is the blade they use to cut these rocks, and that's why they put it in there and let you see that it's got an edge. There's two of them in here, plus there's a round one stuck in. And we're going to try a couple of experiments in the future to see how clean we can get this. I've got a piece of metal that used to be on top of this, but I believe I took it from here. Yeah, it was the piece that was right here. And I saved that because I accidentally broke it off thinking it was a mineral formation. And right after it broke off, I felt it right away. And this top was not clean at that time. And I was like, oh, wow. I realized it was metal in the rock. And it was funny because I did it through feeling it. And then I saw the length of this, and I was like, oh, no, I would not have touched that had I realized what I was looking at, because that was a half-decent blob, but I have that. We still have that saved, and this right here would be a blade. It looks like they put two blades, one angled this way, the other, the edge angled down like that. So this is how they skinned animals if you lived here when the dinosaurs were here in my community.